Hello humans! It seems clear that I cannot pick a day to post and stick with it, so we're gonna go al fresco for a little while and I'll just post as and when. That will certainly shake out into a rhythm of sorts, but I need to try not stressing about it. For now. And speaking of trying new things, with Nickel and one or two others, I tried this new camera position. It's so different! It's also quickly abandoned because I'm a lefty and half the footage from this angle was useless. So, what's the old saying? Don't get attached to it? And Nickel is yet another smooth painting process, lumpy tech issue situation. You will notice the painting jump forward twice during this video because the camera shut off and I didn't hear it, and I apologize. But never mind. Let's talk about nickel, an element whose name we've all known since kindergarten. It is used in stainless steel and in batteries and to plate all the metal things which need to stay shiny. Nickel's handle is helpfulness, because wherever you want a nice, hard-wearing, pleasant-looking faucet or bumper or fork or handcuffs, it is to nickel plating that you will turn. And coins, obviously. Of course, nickels are only 25% nickel. And even that may soon be replaced with other alloys as nickel grows more expensive. I was a child in the 80s, and while 5 cents wouldn't buy you a lot at that point, I do recall certain candy bins at the Quick Mart in Nederland where a nickel could, at least, buy you a banana-flavored Laffy Taffy, or an atomic fireball, or a Tootsie Roll. Or, if you were my friend Amber and me, you'd take a handful of pennies and buy one of each and smoosh the taffy flat and crush the fireball on top and chop the roll up small and sprinkle it over the top and then eat the tiniest, sweetest, strangest pizza the world has ever seen. Laffy Taffy doesn't smoosh easily, so this process took much time and energy, and we totally earned those weird little banana cinnamon Tootsie pizzas. Yup. Amber and I keep tabs on each other in the Book of Faces, but I must stop a moment and appreciate our friendship as kids, because I only got to live in Nederland for a couple of years, but they were pretty pivotal years. Her mom had Escher prints above the cabinets in their tiny galley kitchen, which is how and when I fell in love with Escher's art. Theirs was also the house where I first read The Weaving of a Dream by Marilee Heyer, which is one of the most intensely beautiful picture books in the world, and I still read it whenever I get too cocky about my own work. It makes me realize that, I'm okay, but I still got a long way to go. Amber's mom Terry was, and still is, an artist in her own right, and if we were being very, very good, she'd get out her shoebox full of Prismacolor pencils and let us color with them. I was awestruck. They were magnificent. They were rich and smooth. They had metallics. Parents and other mentors, I am telling you, share your good art supplies with your kids if there's the slightest chance they won't break them. That shoebox was a major influence in my tiny brain. Those colored pencils spoke to my very soul. Would I be who I am without them? I just don't know. Incidentally, Amber has a sister who I chiefly remember as a pesky 2-year-old, but is now a rockin' musician called Jade Elise, and I've been jamming to her music lately. There's only one music video, but she has links there to other songs, so I'm gonna link it here, and you can follow the trail if you wanna. At least watch the video for Lilacs. I think it's amazing. Especially for a 2-year-old. Funny how real life happens for everyone, and time passes, and growth and change and grief and triumph all show up even when I'm not paying attention. Is that a common feeling? Leave a comment if you get surprised too when people grow up while your back is turned. I'm rather pleased with how dynamic this background ended up. It lends movement to an otherwise pretty static composition. Nickel is standing with his hands on his lapels as if he's just been summoned to carry luggage or answer questions. His clothes are going to be far too big, but I don't want him looking like a child wearing daddy's suit. More like a Well, a leprechaun. A little middle-aged man who may have stolen someone's wedding usher getup. I know at the moment he looks more like a rendition of the Artful Dodger, but details will make a difference. We can talk about movies while we wait for them. I've been dying to watch Enchanted April again. It's so relaxing and beautiful and profound and simple. When I was younger, I disliked Milesh Wilkins because even after San Salvatore mellows him out, he says this to his wife: "Why weren't you attractive sooner?" And I used to get pretty salty that even reformed, he still talks to her that way. But as I grew older, I realized that there are two unobjectionable ways to interpret that line. On one hand, he may be saying, happiness makes you beautiful. Why did you have to come here to find happiness? Why did I never put any effort into making you happy? And on the other hand, he could be saying, why was I so blind as to never see that you are and have always been beautiful? Alfred Molina's delivery could easily mean either of these things, and both are sweet and poignant, much more touching than the line itself, which is kind of douchey. I am absolutely chipping away at that face, aren't I? It was important to me to get it just right before moving on. Sadly, the moment I do move on is the moment the camera shut off, so we're going to miss some stuff. It's honestly a marvel that any of this technology ever does any of the things I want it to. For my analog soul to have shakily mastered the rudiments of camera, lights, file, moving picture collecting, narration, and editing is by way of being miraculous. I have a long history of accidentally deleting my OS, or saving the same JPEG in 14 places in fear that it will vanish, or accidentally saving the low-res version of my image as the only version of my image. That one stings. Anyway, you know the type. This is why you'll probably never see me take up digital art, much as I love looking at it. Besides, there's something about the textures of paint and canvas that feeds my soul beyond the mere creation of images. It's limiting, yes, but satisfying. Which isn't to say that I don't use Photoshop to make minor adjustments to my work once it's done. Oh, there we go. Hello, sudden onset vest. Welcome. Anyway, want to know a secret about my watercolor Waldorf kids? I almost never paint the background on the same piece as the figures. I paint them separately and then combine them. It's cheating, but it's virtually invisible if I'm careful about the tooth of the paper staying aligned, and it's okay to mask the foreground sloppily because I always leave some white rim light on the characters anyway. So now you know. Don't tell on me. Despite my shortcuts, I really do love watercolors. I got into a mood a few years ago and painted these 3 garden green men, 18 by 24 inches. They turned out so good. I should have stuck with that project, but I wandered away. Maybe someday I'll wander back. The paintings were hung in my favorite restaurant called Seeds, which was this revolutionary pay-what-you-choose place. In fact, it was probably too revolutionary because it didn't last. Not because people didn't pay for their food. Most people paid a fair price. I know we always did. The food was absolutely amazing. They had this kale salad with lemon Caesar dressing, and their pulled pork was to die for, and sometimes they served croissant curry chicken salad sandwiches. They were also farm to table, working with local growers, and were doing an outreach program to feed the homeless and employ the indigent. It was all really positive stuff. But that sort of thing requires a certain type of manager, and I think they lacked that. It closed very suddenly, and we were devastated. My paintings had all sold by then, but I think I never got the money for the 3rd one. I've never been sure. I'm terrible at keeping track of money, coming in or going out. I'd have made an awful restaurant manager, too. I'm having a hard time getting these sleeves to look like rumpled linen. It's a very specific look. I never quite nail it, but that's okay. I've had to forgive myself a lot of lacking skills in this project, but at the same time I'm working my ass off and the list will inevitably grow shorter. My advice to any artist, as if you asked, is don't stop. Stopping is atrophying. To work is to improve, even though you may not see it. My other advice? Never scorn to use reference. The difference between my straight-from-the-imagination paintings and my drawn-from-gathered photos paintings is night and day. This one turned out okay, I think. The rough part is... spoilers. I make his pants pinstripe and fill his pockets with tools, and we don't get to watch any of that. Sorry in advance. Perhaps the camera was being manipulated by Nickel the German Mind Sprite, which is the namesake of this element. It is a spirit of mayhem, so I can blame my tech issues on him. You may ask why such a brat was given by me the sobriquet of helpfulness, but my reason is simple. Nickel's service far outweighs his roguishness. Consider stainless steel. Consider nickel plating. Consider the core of the earth, which is a combination of iron and nickel, but molten. Nickel may be hard to find, hard to refine, and named for a prankster, but let's not lose sight of the big picture. Nickel is a very helpful guy. Nickel's column will include palladium, platinum, and darmstadtium, and while I think of them as leprechauns, it's not official or even necessary, except in my own brain, I think. I will later repaint those hands to have 4 fingers. This is one of the ways I differentiate my leprechauns from my dwarves and gnomes and elves. Whoop, there go his pants. Damn it. The rest of the video is me fiddling about with tiny details while my narrator self takes a moment to seethe about that missing footage. Seethe. Damn it. I was so freaking proud of my pinstriping. And those spats. Sheesh. A German mischief spirit represented as an Irish mischief spirit. No wonder my tech acted up. The pockets full of tools as well as the hat attachments. I like how they turned out, at least. In fact, what I like is the ambiguity of it. Did he steal the tools, like a mischief spirit, or did he bring them to assist you, like helpfulness? We may never know. That's a nickel coin there, on his lapel. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm sure I'll figure out a weekly schedule eventually, but meanwhile, thank you for being patient with me. And thank you to my patrons. I love my gorgeous warrior goddesses. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to join them. Until next time, draw with the good pencils, eat the good food, listen to the good music, and stay healthy. Also, I was like, hey, wait a second, we've got like 3 jars of half-used spaghetti sauce in the fridge. We ought to use those up too. So I got them all out. All 3 of them were incredibly sporific. Like they were science experiments. They were the kind of thing where you wish you had the bravery to look at it closer, because there was stuff in there that science has never seen. But at least now that makes more room in the fridge.